Gene Deal, happy to have you back on the platform, man. October 3rd, man. We're gonna find out if Diddy do time or not. But I do want to ask you, how you feel about this program that he enrolled into?
Well, the programs that they put him in is because of he's getting close to release or he may be released. So the Bureau of Prisons for the federal government has to give him a program based on his crime that he committed. You know what I'm saying? He did commit a crime. He is going to jail for committing a crime, but the time is going to be based on his pre-sentence report. So now, in the pre-sentence report that the probation officer, the federal probation officer do, they go by the history. If he had any criminal history, they go by the criminal history. They go by the history, the crime. They go by what the victim statements and all that, and they do this report that they submit to the judge. And submitting that report to the judge is going to have what they believe based on the guidelines of the prison system, the guidelines of the correctional sets up based on what the time he'll do based on the crime. Now, the crime, and let's get this straight, the crime that he committed uh, is based on the Mann Act. And that ranged anywhere from probably 22 to 54 months. Probably 22 to 54 months. And they're not going to probably run that consecutive. You understand? They probably run it concurrent with each other because he got two crimes. He committed those two crimes. So now, and like I said, he did commit a crime. You know what I'm saying? All these cats out here, rapping and raving and talking about, he beat the Rico, he beat that. If you go back, and I would love for you to do this, go back and see what I said. I said, if they get a verdict before the 4th, we won't get no Rico or no racketeering or none of that. You understand? And we got a verdict before the 4th. But let me finish telling you about the Bureau of Prison. He has, I think, a prostitution charge or whatever. And then having that prostitution charge, you understand the prostitution, I don't know, was it for what, transferring or soliciting prostitution or whatever like that, whatever it may be, he's going to have to do what they call a sex, probably a sex abuse or some kind of sex abuse treatment program. You understand? Because of the violence he did, and he wasn't guilty of that, but they brought it up in the court, and the judge know it. They had tapes and everything that they seen him beating the shit out of Cassie. People coming and saying he beat other people, did all kind of crazy shit to other people. So what they're gonna do is they're going to look at that and they're gonna give him a domestic violence course. And because of the drug treatment, because they caught drugs on him, they caught drugs in his house, they're going to give him a drug treatment program. All those programs is going to be based, and that's why he's doing the program. Because if he said, yo, I ain't doing no program and stuff like that, the judge would have been looking at him like, oh, you ain't doing no program? You ain't doing the programs? Okay, I got something for your ass. So those programs that he's doing is so he could appease the judge, so he can help either with the sentencing or the fact the judge may release him. Now, based on all that and the programming and stuff like that, even if he does the program and stuff like that, the prosecution is still going to say, yo, listen to me. Okay, he did the program, he did that, but this is how much time and more time than somebody else who had the same kind of crime, this is how much time they did. Because if you notice, the judge asked the defense for a record or court cases of people getting time for this. So you know what the defense going to do? They're going to come up the least amount of time that people got for this Mann Act charge. So now you got the prosecution. They're going to put in the most time that somebody got who did this thing, who did this crime. So now the judge going to look at the programming, look at the pre-sentence report, and decide what kind of time he gonna get them. But all that programming that he doing, all criminals, anybody who go to jail, if it's for drug dealers, they go to jail. Some of them don't even use drugs, but they take a drug class. They take the drug courses so it can look good on their record when they go in front of the probation and they go back in front of the judge. If they did a domestic violence, they take the domestic violence course. They take the domestic violence course so that when they go back in the judge, he say, okay, they took a domestic violence course. And 9 times out of 10, any course that they take, they're going to refer them out for treatment once they get out of jail. So all those courses and all those cases and all those courses that he's taking is to get him out of jail and nothing more. Nothing more to get him out of jail, bro. That's what it's about. And what I feel about it, I don't give a flying F. You understand? I don't give a flying F about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a facade. It's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? He had enough money way before he got to jail. If he wanted to do something to get himself right, to get off drugs, he could have got the best doctors. You understand? He could have gotten the best treatment facility. If he wanted to stop beating women, he could have got some psychological help. He could have bought the best that money could buy. So all this shit is just to get his sorry ass out to jail. And 9 times out of 10, it usually helps. How many times you ever seen a leopard change his spots? He only taking those programs, bro, to get out of jail. And I don't, most people do that. I don't blame him, but he ain't gonna change, man. You understand? Because he know he got away with a whole lot of shit. Ain't no way those 27, those 30-something people, got up there on the stand, testify. You heard the testimony. You heard what they did. You understand? And he got away with murder, bro. Practically. He got away with murder, man. So he ain't gonna change. In his eyes, he won. Even though he did a year or so behind the bars, in his eyes, he won.
You heard how Diddy lawyer came out saying that after Diddy beat the Rico, when he went back to prison, all the inmates were celebrating?
Yeah, I heard the fact that the inmate was celebrating, and that came from his lawyer. How true it is, I don't know. But you got to realize criminals that commit crime celebrate criminals who commit crimes. So, them criminals behind bars celebrating him winning a Rico, what do you expect? You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, that's the first time I believe that anybody ever won a Rico case against the Southern District. So they was applauding criminals applauding a criminal. You understand? I don't expect no less from them. But it is what it is. They still behind bars. You know what I'm saying? Some deserve to be behind that, some don't. Some paying for those crimes, some ain't. But to celebrate him out of all the shit that he did, man, that just tell you the mindset of a criminal. That tells you the mindset of a criminal, bro. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna celebrate somebody who beat women even though he beat a Rico? How you gonna do that? It still was the fact that he had beat a woman. All right, okay, you beat the Rico, man, but you gonna celebrate him? And check this out, bro. These dudes who play like they hard and they all about manhood and everything like that. You heard some of the stuff that happened in those freak-offs. And you celebrating them? Wow. Wow, bro. That's crazy to me. But that's how it is. Criminals celebrating criminals.
So you really believe when Diddy gets out, he won't be a changed man?
Man, listen to me. He behind bars talking about him and Kanye West is trying to do a tour. He wasn't doing a tour before he went to jail. Now he finna do the Diddy Freak Off tour? Yeah. Him and all his fun boys will be up in that joint with Kanye West. That's a crazy concert. I guess they're gonna have a whole lot of fun. Slipping and sliding on the Astroglide and the baby oil. That's what that's gonna be about. But yeah, he's supposed to be doing a tour. He ain't gonna change, bro. He ain't gonna change. And then I heard him and what is it? TD Jakes is supposed to be getting together for his redemption tour. Oh my God, man. The devil comes in all shapes and sizes, man, and all disguises. All shapes and sizes with all disguises. Yo, this shit is crazy out here, bro. It's real crazy. You don't, ain't no way, bro. He ain't gonna change. He ain't not gonna change. He'll come out with this whole facade, this whole brother love thing, and then next thing you know, he'll be in Bali or someplace else beating somebody out. He probably, when he go to beat somebody, he might do it out the country now. He won't do it in the United States no more. He'll do it out the country where he'll be safe.